in Abu Dhabi took longer than expected. I had to pass by somebody in Dubai as well. Okay. My dear brother Sunil, Munjal, Excellency Ambassador Seetharam, Mr. Sethi, distinguished guests and speakers, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure that I speak for everyone gathered here at the Taj this morning and expressing gratitude to the Embassy of India and to the All India Management Association for organizing and presenting this timely conference. I am likewise sure that we are all united in a desire to increase the human capital in our respective countries in order to make each of us even more competitive globally. Today's agenda will surely help us realize ways for fulfilling that desire. Consequently, it gives me great pleasure to inaugurate this conference on building human capital for the knowledge economy. A conference that is destined to succeed. I am particularly confident about the prospects for today's activities because the historical record predicts success. The history of the United Arab Emirates reveals that we Emiratis have been cooperating with Indians in building our country and building our human capital for a knowledge economy since long time, and in particular during our fund late President Sheikh from when we founded the United Arab Emirates in 1971. We are in our 45th year people of various backgrounds as well to our country, and I take this opportunity to welcome all of you who have traveled from India and elsewhere to participate in this conference. Welcome to Dubai and the United Arab Emirates. Today, we will be doing what we have always done, working together for the well-being of everyone. A concern for the future unites us. We know that in both India and the UAE, we must develop our human capital if we are to have knowledge economies that compete successfully in a global scale. We share a high regard for knowledge and its application. Accordingly, to ready ourselves for discussions, we might logically seek to know what other people have learned about the development of human capital. I decided to follow that logic and to seek knowledge about human capital, viewing myself to be technologically savvy citizen of the 21st century. I naturally Google the term human capital. It's not that the new scholarship, after all. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not the first to be thinking about human capital. Mr. Google provides over 48 million insight into the meaning and significance of the term human capital. That discovery in itself signifies the importance of this conference. We are awash in a vast sea of data and information. We must learn to swim in that sea. We cannot ignore those data and facts as they are the basis of knowledge. But the acquisition of knowledge requires more than simply Googling the facts and gathering information. The acquisition of knowledge demands awareness, understanding, interpretation, evaluation, and theorizing. We acquire knowledge because we are seeking meaning. I have not worked my way through all the 48 million elements in the sea of human capital, but I have been struck with the modernity of the term. Scholars have only been writing about human capital for 60 years or so. It is as though we became truly serious about building human capital as the global economies demand for more sophisticated knowledge, raised the stakes for success of this, obviously. Much of the contemporary thinking about human capital concentrates on its relation to productivity. But a few years ago, the National Knowledge Commission of India offered a nuanced interpretation of the term human capital. And I quote, human capital refers to the combined knowledge, skill, innovativeness, and ability of the nation's individuals to meet the task at hand, including values, culture, and philosophy. It is measured in terms of education and training, work, culture, and health. That wise commission shares our awareness Commission was attentive to more than mere productivity and economic success. Its concept of human capital includes values, culture, philosophy, work, and health. The National Knowledge Commission was concerned with the relation of knowledge to culture and society. It seemed to know quite well that as a community opens itself to the acquisition of knowledge and strengthens its human capital, the very culture of the community changes. Its outlook broadens. Its curiosity sharpens. Its understanding deepens. Its respect for others increases. Its commitment to its best values deepens. I have seen that sort of phenomena in my own country. The wise leaders of the United Arab Emirates have always stressed economic, technological, and human development as the foundation for sustained progress and prosperity. The policies and decisions of science, President Sheikh bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the Vice President and Prime Minister of Dubai, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed Al Maktoum, and His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi and the Deputy Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, have allowed the UAE in a very short time to position itself as a leader in developing a knowledge-based economy and society. Under their enlightened leadership, the UAE has been very successful in bringing together the private and public institutions, nationals and expatriates to create a vibrant, balanced, and peaceful society which is focused on improving the quality of life of all our people who live on this land. In the UAE, we define knowledge economy very broadly. We agree with the United Kingdom's Department of Trade, Trade and Industry that describe a knowledge-driven economy, and I quote again, as one in which the generation and exploitation of knowledge play the predominant part in the creation of wealth. And that broad definition is compatible with the way in which our economy harnesses and uses new and existing knowledge to improve the productivity of agriculture, industry, and to increase the quality of life for all as well. That broad definition of the knowledge economy reminds us that we must leverage our strengths to become leaders in knowledge creation and application, and to build our human capital that is the true engine of economic growth. Viewing our great friend India across the ocean that connect us, I see a similar development under the Indian tricolor. I know that India already has taken many of the steps necessary to groom world-class knowledge workers. It has many highly educated and vocationally qualified people who are making their mark domestically and, more importantly, globally in science, in engineering, in information technology, and in research and development. India's education education system is continually evolving in order to expand access and to create and sustain a cadre of workers for the knowledge economy. India is becoming a major global source of research and development. An important part of its innovation system is the diffusion of modern and more efficient technologies in all sectors of the economy. Ladies and gentlemen, both India and the United Arab Emirates see the development of knowledge economies as a natural extension of the long-standing role at the center of world trade and culture exchange. We are both fully engaged globally. We both agree that excellence in the development of human capital is the foundation for national development and progress. We both believe that a successful economy is fundamental to a better life and opportunity for all the people. These shared values bodies well for perpetuating and strengthening the cooperation between our two countries. Like all of you, I support strongly a close and continuing relationship between India and the United Arab Emirates. I believe that our strong and solid bilateral relations in the current global conditions are more important than ever to both of our countries and to the region. The recent visit to India by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan highlighted the shared commitment of our two countries to be a positive force for peace and prosperity in the world. That important visit reinforced our resolve to work together in order to seize new opportunities offered by world developments and to create and preserve a world order that promotes mutual cooperation and progress for all. My friends, today your meeting reminds us that a country's human development is about charting the future. You remind us that innovation, imagination, creativity, and human capital are now the foundation of any successful economy. You remind us that building effective human capital requires the commitment of the entire society. You also remind us that working together and building relationships across national boundaries are essential activities for success in this important human endeavor. I know that your discussions today will be fully sensitive to all of these dimensions of human capital. Thank you for sampling today and contributing your own knowledge and experience, your wisdom to the vital issue of building a human capital. I wish all of you and the people of India continued success, prosperity, and progress. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for sharing your views with us and for that inspiring inaugural address. May I now request Mr. Sunil Kant Munjal, Senior Vice President, AIMA, and Joint Managing Director, Hero Motor Corp Limited, and Chairman, Hero Corporate Service Private Limited, to deliver the theme address.
His Excellency, Mr. Ambassador, Dr. Tayyab Kamali, Rekha, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to start with a warm thank you to His Excellency for making the time on an extremely busy day. I know that you have multiple events that you are involved with today, Your Excellency, and also that you're kind of hopping between Abu Dhabi and Dubai for multiple events today. So we truly appreciate the time that you made to be here with us. And what we believe is an important bridge that is getting created between India and the UAE. You're absolutely right when you say these two countries have a history. The peoples of these two nations have a history. Many of the members, including of the royal family from here, have spent time in India, some studying, some living there for a while, and many Indians call this their home, which is one of the reasons we felt that it is only right for the All India Management Association to be here and set up a conference to talk about human capital. Your perspective on human capital for today's world, for the knowledge economy, is absolutely spot on. At the end of the day, it is all and only about people. We hope that technology will be a tool that we will use to better the lives of our people, to improve the conditions of all the peoples in our nations, and to help improve the connections across the globe. In this century, it's been said that knowledge is of three types: foundation knowledge, humanistic knowledge, and meta-knowledge. The foundation is to know. Humanistic is to value. And meta is to act. Because eventually, it is not important what you think. It is critical what you actually do and implement, or at least attempt to do. The result, as we say in India, is not in our hands. The best we can do is to try and hope for the best. And both our nations are very diverse in its human capital. We also appreciate your perspective on how the UAE is developing itself and looking at development, economic, technological, and of human capital. We heard in the morning about the rapid spread of health insurance that you begun starting from Abu Dhabi, then in Dubai. So it is also important that you are focused not only on the Emirati population, which is of course critical to you, but on all the population that is here. And for us in India, that is very meaningful, because there is a large section of the population here in all kinds of work, involved in economic activity, which comes from South Asia and more particularly from India. Our belief is that to transform a society for the better, the biggest and the most effective tool available for us is skills, training, and most importantly, education. We are currently focused on transforming India through a series of initiatives which have been launched, many over the last 20 years, and more particularly the very, very ambitious, aggressive ones in the last 2 years. You actually alluded to this in your speech when you were in Delhi at the Festival of Cultures. And I should tell you, by the way, your speech was highly appreciated. Many said it was amongst the best speeches made by many of the world leaders who were present at the Festival of Cultures in Delhi over the last few days. And the connections you spoke about there are again connections you refer to here of people to people being the most important one. Because eventually it is people who will make the big difference. Problem solving itself in the current environment in this century has undergone a change. Our conventional method or approach used to be to break down a problem into simple components and try and fix one component at a time. But in this new world of getting bombarded by knowledge and information, it is also important that we not only learn to filter what is meaningful and useful for us, but we also learn to create the connections which may not appear to be logical or normal. The case in point was the 2010 Nobel Prize for Physics, which was given to two scientists in the UK for discovering graphene, which is a new material which seems to offer immense possibility. And it started in a playful way. They were trying to play with the piece of carbon and Scotch tape. And that's how the discovery actually got made. And many in the world have got made in this manner, is when you try and look at unconnected things in how they can actually work together. It is the same as we heard a little bit earlier in a session in healthcare on how we need to provide not just high quality health care, but how we need to reach all of our people with quality health care. At the same time, watching the economics and the value that we provide for the money that people end up paying, or the state ends up paying, or the insurance companies end up paying. From All India Management Association side, I would like to thank all of you for being here today and for Sheikh Nahyan to giving us this opportunity to set this up under his patronage. As Rekha just mentioned in her opening remarks, I would like to recommend that we encourage a local management association to be set up in the UAE, maybe one or maybe more than one, and we would be more than happy at the All India Management Association to support this In fact, this conference itself got kicked off on a casual conversation Dr. Tayyab Kamali and I had while driving, incidentally, His Excellency to your home. When I mentioned to him this is one of the new activities which India is doing, which is growing rapidly. It's not a new organization. For management, it is the oldest and the largest organization in India, but it's spreading out in terms of the activities that it undertakes. In this area itself, in the area of management, education and skills, the All India Management Association has undertaken a new sector skills council to focus on these three activities with a very, very ambitious program. It hopes to be able to help in training, skilling, and educating of a very large number of people in a reasonable period of time. This Sector Skills Council has just got established only last month and has a plan to look at 475,000 trainees over 50 qualification packs and national occupational standards over the next 10 years itself. And this, as you all know, is one of India's crying needs. Because of the India's demographics, we need to ensure that we are able to provide fruitful employment for 1 million new people month on month, every month for the next 15 years. It's a staggering number. A current business, the way it is run across the world, is focusing more on automation, robotics, and efficiency. In effect, trying to reduce the number of people working in each enterprise. So this goes somewhat counter to that, which is why India has initiated a series of new moves to encourage entrepreneurship, to encourage technology, to encourage new startups, along with the many, many other programs. And we would like to play an active part in this to help India move itself to the next level of developing India as amongst the leading nations in the world. And we are trying to do this through partnerships. The partnership with the UAE is a special one. As His Excellency just mentioned, both the nations have an expressed desire right at the top of of the two nations to figure out how we can build this into a more robust and a more sustainable relationship. So therefore, it has to work at all levels. And this, we believe, will be one more such connection. We will not just encourage a local management association to be set up. We will try and turn this event into an annual event, and we hope over a period of time it will get even bigger and even better than it is this time. And by the way, it is wonderful this time. I have to thank many people for helping us with conceiving and setting this up, starting with His Excellency's team and staff, Dr. Tayyab Kamali and his team and staff. Our embassy here and the Consul General and their colleagues, both in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, our partners here, our sponsors who supported this conference. It is indeed a pleasure every time you come here. Sometimes think back of what this place has done in the last 45 years, more particularly in the next 25 years. That gives one hope that what we are attempting to do in India is therefore possible. Because this was just a dream which somebody had at one point in time and converted it into one of the most dynamic economic centers in the world. I don't know how many nations you have working here now, but when you walk around the UAE, it looks like the United Nations. I cannot imagine any nationality that does not exist or work here happily and is not a part of the entire community here. It is very international, yet it is personable, especially for us, many of us who come from India. I've seen people get around only speaking Hindi. There is such a large population from South Asia here. It gives one a sense of comfort. There is a worrying situation taking place in the world, though. A McKinsey report recently released showed that only by the year 2020, we will have a shortage of workers of about 13 degrees with college degrees and about 13%, and about 15% of those who are just out of high school. And this is 40 and 45 million in terms of numbers of people who will be in shortfall in terms of what is required. On the flip side, unskilled people and those who have not got formal education, there will be a surplus of over 100 million people. All the more reason that we need to ensure that training, educational skills, the spread of these is grown rapidly. Which is why, while we grow at the top end in terms of technology, in terms of robotics, in terms of the new kind of sciences that are being developed across the world, we have to ensure that we carry all of our communities along with us, that we also focus at the same time on what is commonly called the bottom of the pyramid. We have realized in India that if we can do this, in India, as many of you know, 68% of India lives in the rural areas. 54% of India depends on agriculture as a primary source of income. And agriculture, unfortunately, is contributing less and less to the GDP of the nation, thereby creating more poverty in the rural areas. There is an increasing realization that if we can turn that around, so there are direct intervention programs now undertaken by the government in the rural economy and rural infrastructure, on irrigation, on modernizing farming. We can create, it's not only required for defensive purpose, you can also turn this around and create the world's largest growth market. Bigger than Europe, bigger than US. The numbers are staggering. So this transformation for us is important in many, many ways. Which is why human capital of all kinds, which is truly our most important and critical resource, does need the attention, does need the support wherever possible, and does need people like in this room to play a more responsible role to help create this transformation. We do hope that conferences and conclaves such as the one here today will help in each time adding a little step to move this forward. We have an outstanding set of speakers and panelists in each of the panels from the UAE, from India, and from other countries who are participating and looking at this issue from different perspectives. And I believe it is a holistic view of this which will eventually make it work. You have done a tremendous job here in the UAE over the last few decades. India on the top end has developed wonderfully, but our challenge continues to be the very large number of people who have been excluded from this economic miracle that has taken place. Which is why it is important for us to focus on both the sides, commerce, economics, and on human values, to ensure that we truly create a win-win for all of the communities, both in India, in UAE, and together as a partnership. Thank you once again, Your Excellency. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here today. And I hope this will continue for all of you to be a useful interlude from all your busy schedules. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Munjal. May I now request Mr. T.P. Seetharam, Ambassador of India to the United Arab Emirates, to deliver his remarks.
Your Highness Sheikh Nahyan bin Mubarak Al Nahyan, Mr. Sunil Kant Munjal, Rekha Sethi, and dear friends, AIMA could not have chosen a better country than UAE, where human skills from 200 different nationalities are brought together in one small place to demonstrate what is possible in terms of human achievement and excellence. And the role of the Indian community in this process has been specially recognized by the visionary leaders of UAE. This is a relationship that has a long history, but something has happened during the last 1 year. Building upon an already excellent relationship where people to people contacts are very good, where economic interaction has been outstanding. The two governments which have been lagging behind in this relationship have discovered each other and have actually embraced each other, as you have been seeing on the television screens in recent times during the visit of Prime Minister Modi to UAE and the visit of His Highness the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi to India. This embrace means that new opportunities have been opened up in our bilateral relationship. We are not talking anymore of a transactional relationship of just trade and arrival of labor and remittances to India. We are today talking about opportunities from food security to cyber security, defense cooperation to defense production, skilling, working jointly to develop human capital, to work in areas including space cooperation, new areas which we did not even think of a little over a year ago. I think the embrace between the governments have now opened up opportunities and created space for you, the industry, the management, experts to step in and carry this relationship to new heights. So thank you, AIMA, for coming here. And I'm glad to note that this is only the very beginning. As we will see AIMA more in UAE, as we will see more of India in UAE and cooperation that will bring us even closer to each other. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.